Welcome to Reggie's realm. In the San Juan Mountains. About 11,000 feet, a little shy maybe. I'm a little dizzy. When I look down at the rocks, I see green colors. This is Rocky Mountain altitude and not nearly as high as you can get, but it's probably as high as Cheryl and I are going to go today. We're at the Cathedral campground up in Embargo Creek. Comes up from South Fork where we're staying, a little farther into the mountains than Del Norte, named after the river of the north, the Rio Grande. It seems this forest of stone chapels rises up to do praise to all of that which created it. Pretty amazing. You see something like this and you get your wind back. Oh yes, let's see what we've got going on here. Oh yeah, this works. Cathedrals all. Welcome to Cheryl's realm.
It's pretty awesome.
Here's the trail we came up. And the rocks beginning to tower among the trees. Pretty majestic. Pretty groovy. If I had enough air to say so, I might consider it nifty. I suppose here I can begin to tell you the story that is so important to me about this region. As some of you know, I write books exploring Kentucky, my surrounding series, journey logs, science, history, and culture, about the science of getting lost in our Commonwealth. So I'm often reading the exploits of other here in North America. And I read a lot about John Fremont and his guide Kit Carson from Madison County, Kentucky. This is Kit Carson land. But what brought me here was Fremont's fourth expedition, a disastrous trip. Kit Carson was his guide for the first three, but not this one. Not this one. Big Bill was his guide. And Big Bill said, you know, we don't need to go up and over in the Sasquatch route. I know an Indian trail that'll cut 2 days off. Big Bill Williams said, we'll get through before the snows. They don't come until late December, and we're not at that point yet. Well, as is often the case, he was wrong. Fremont was wrong. And huge blizzards hit them immediately as they started to ascend these San Juan Mountains. They were trying to cross the Continental Divide and survey a route for the Transcontinental Railroad, which had yet to be completed. And he had been retained to survey a route straight across the 37th or 38th parallel. Well, That means he had to cross these mountains. And why he did it in winter is peculiar to his personality, and I think he was a rather peculiar guy. But he was certainly physically strong and had force of will. For on this trip of 35 men, maybe 100 mules, they lost all the mules, and 10 of the men died. Right up here, right on the other side of these cathedral-like rocks. When they hit the higher altitudes, the snow hit them. First 4 or 5 feet, and then with drifts as high as 37 feet. We know that because they made camp and they cut trees down where they could reach them on top of the snow to try to make barriers to the wind and the snow. You can still see those, and some of those trees were cut 37 feet above the ground. He eventually made it out. Not all of his men did. And he was able to cross the San Luis desert, really, and reach Taos, where his friend Kit Carson lived. There he sent back men to pick up the goods that had been left. And on one of those journeys, Big Bill Williams was killed. That didn't deter our intrepid, our unreasonable John Fremont. He hired several other men and kept going down a Gila River route. That doesn't sound very understanding to me about what he had just put his crew of 35 men through. In 1853, he would come this way again and cross over the route that he had cut coming in for this disastrous trip. He would make it across then, make it to California. Interesting guy, John Fremont. Worthy of some reading. Welcome to Reggie's realm. I've now caught enough oxygen to tell you that it's pretty groovy here. Kind of nifty. See you next time, somewhere in the San Juan Mountains of what was then New Mexico, but is now Colorado.